Well, Bedell Cristin operates in 8 jurisdictions globally, but in Guernsey, we're a top-tier ranked insurance and reinsurance firm. We act for local captives, reinsurers, and insurance companies. We also provide services as individuals, as non-exec directors, to a number of captives and other types of issuer and ILS structure. Well, the insurance and reinsurance market, in particular ILS, is quite niche anyway, but in terms of our specialisation of legal structures, we have a great deal of experience with PCCs and ICCs, which are types of segregated cell company used for creating insolvency protection for certain types of asset. And those are used typically in the investment market and also in the insurance market. I helped to draft the legislation in Guernsey in 2006 when it was last amended, and as a result of our expertise, we are quite regularly instructed by foreign governments and regulatory authorities. So, for example, we drafted the ICC legislation in Malta. We've recently completed the drafting of PCC legislation in a Middle Eastern country. We've advised regulators in the Far East and pretty much all over the world on how to deal with regulatory issues. And we're regularly instructed to just provide that kind of specialised expertise to foreign governments and so on, as I say. So that would probably be our top specialisation in this field. Well, we're delighted to be in the finals again. Whether we win again remains to be seen, but certainly to be nominated 3 years in a row is fantastic. And I think what I hope the clients have said about us, because it is, if you like, a peer review, is that we are definitely dedicated to the sector. We are very much involved in trying to grow insurance and reinsurance in Guernsey and the ILS sector in particular. We're involved with most of the managers. We provide directors for the boards, and we play an active role in assisting the industry association in new initiatives with marketing and with new legislation and so on. So I think we are really committed, and I hope that comes across, and I hope that's the reason why we've been nominated. Well, it's going to be quite an interesting time in 2015 for the Guernsey sector. We've recently completed the drafting of some guidance in the ILS sector, which we hope will be formalised and issued before the end of March. I've also been asked to assist with the drafting of legislation for SPV insurers. At the moment, the ILS sector is governed by a series of discretions under the law which the Financial Services Commission can apply, and the industry would like something more formal which reflects what happens in other jurisdictions such as Bermuda. In other areas, Guernsey has just implemented some new regulations coming into force in early 2015, which applies to the solvency of captives, which mirrors the provisions of Solvency II. That's been extensively tested. We don't expect it to have any significant impact on operational aspects of captives in Guernsey, but it is a new thing, and it is a mirror of what Solvency II is. We think it's better because it's less prescriptive, and it can also apply to different types of insurers better, whereas the Solvency II model is really designed for large, proper insurance companies as opposed to private insurers. There are some interesting things we've been asked to do for clients at the moment. The first one in the captive sector is to create a hybrid of a captive which will be partially owned by a third party. And the way in which we're going to achieve that, we think, is to list a preference share class in the captive. And the preference shares will be able to enjoy the profits associated with a particular underwriting project. Those two parties, the captive owner and the third party, are in business together anyway in a joint venture, and it makes sense for them to share the benefits of the project that they're working on. It's a very large capital project, and we think that will have real benefits, and we believe that'll be the first captive to be owned partially by a third party. So it's not quite an insurer, it's still controlled by the parent owner, but they're able to bring capital in without losing control of their underwriting program and the fact that they own their own captive. The other one is something we've been working on or working towards certainly for a long time, which is to try and create a hybrid structure, which is an insurance company but also an investment fund at the same time. It's quite difficult to explain on camera, but the basis of it is that capital can be put in over a period of time, as it would be say in a closed-ended private equity fund structured as a limited partnership, but the general partner of the partnership is itself an insurer. So it covers both sides, which means you don't need two separate structures to perform the types of deals and operations which you'd normally find in the ILS sector between an ILS fund proper and the insurance company or transformer vehicles that it works through. So both of those are completely innovative. We hope there will be a success this year. Regulation is a key issue in all financial services sectors at the moment. There is a heightened sense of concern about regulation of markets and capital and solvency and so on, and the insurance market is an integral part of that. Guernsey, I think generally industry was really pleased to see that our Director General of the Financial Services Commission has just been invited to become a director on the executive committee of the International Association of Insurance Supervisors. That means I think Guernsey's playing a major part in development of global regulation in the sector. So we have quite a big voice in terms of our size relatively as a jurisdiction. Hopefully, we think that the focus on tax going forward will be the arguments that have been raised and continually being raised against offshore is that anything which goes on offshore must be bad. The fact that we have seats on some of these high status committees and organisations means that we can more easily explain why the industry exists and the fact that it doesn't exist purely for tax purposes.